Welcome back to Studio F, where on Fast Times Willy B, we will be reviewing Nosferatu. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Russell.
Welcome back to Fast Times Willy B. I'm Willy B. I've got Kory back with me. Kory, it feels like it's been a long time.
It has been a long time. Review. I was thinking about it. It has been a while.
Because we've done a lot of drafts together.
Yeah.
But when's the last movie we did?
Was it Deadpool and Wolverine?
It couldn't be that long ago, is it?
That's a pretty long time ago. There's no way, but...
It's been a while.
It's been a minute.
How well are you?
I'm all right. Yeah. I'm all right. It's been a while since I've seen you.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good.
Oh, good. We're
going to talk about some Nosferatu, the 2024 version, not the 1922 version.
Yeah, that's true. I have a lot more to say about this one.
Robert Eggers is in the director's chair, and he's got himself a track record of good movies with The Northman, The Lighthouse, and The Witch. This is the first movie not to start with the.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not the Nosferatu, but...
Should have been. That would have been hard.
But we've got Bill Skarsgård as Count Orlok himself. We've got Willem Dafoe, Lily Rose Depp, Emma Corrin, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Ralph Ineson, Nicholas Hoult.
I was going to say, Nicholas Holt's like...
and I feel like I'm still missing people. There's a lot of...
I mean, there's a lot of... Did you say Lily Rose Depp already? Okay.
Yeah. Ralph Ineson was the one I didn't know was going to be in this.
I knew he was in it because there was a picture of him, Nicholas Hoult, and Aaron Taylor-Johnson walking. Like, it was just a picture of them walking behind the set. Okay. And I said, Beast, Craven, or Quicksilver, and who was the other person? And Galactus walking to a bar.
Yeah. Ralph Ineson, I was excited because he was obviously Father Brennan in The First Omen, which was a horror movie I really liked earlier this year. He's also the father in The Witch, so kind of has the ties with Robert Eggers.
Oh, I didn't know that. See, I watched The Witch when I was like 15. I haven't seen it since.
Yeah, so it was cool to see him in this film as well. Cool. But a lot of big names. We'll start with the good, and most of the movie is in this good category. It's Robert Eggers. You know going into it, it's going to be... at least an 8 out of 10. He's just becoming one of those directors, and it's crazy because it's only his fourth movie, but you just know with the time that he puts into each movie, because each of these movies is announced. That's usually a couple of years before we get to see it.
I mean, that's true, but he's still cranking them out like one every 2 years.
Yeah, so. But you just, I don't know, he does these epic period pieces, and, now he's taken a story that I feel like, it's had a few renditions, but... was kind of overdue for a modern touch on it.
I was kind of shocked when I was thinking about it earlier today, and I was like, man, this is like the third time they've done it. And then I thought about it, I was like, I mean, they did the comedy situation where Willem Dafoe played Max Schreck, but I was like, they haven't done, this is like the first actual reboot of it. Kind of blows my mind considering how popular it is and how it's so old. There's no words.
The original is 102 crazy. Years old this year, so...
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think.
That is weird to think.
But, so you get Robert Eggers, who's going to do it, which he's already announced that he's working on a Labyrinth movie next, which I'm kind of here for as well. But...
he said he has a couple more on the Flames, too, so I wonder what else he could be.
I'm all for it.
He's obviously got an era.
Yeah.
Or an area of film that he's pocketing right now.
Almost gothic horror. Yeah.
Yeah.
But absolutely. No, I mean, the cast he put together was great. Bill Skarsgård as the monster was, you don't even know it's him.
No.
That just the makeup department needs a shout out here.
Good idea.
And the voice.
The voice is good. I told this story yesterday, but I have to bring it up. While I was taking a pee, I heard some guy talking to his buddy in the stalls behind me, and I heard one of them go, man, that guy's voice was like butter. He's like, I could listen to him all night. And he's not right. It's creepy, but it's also, I agree.
Yeah. Willem Dafoe, I mean, he's magnificent per usual. Nicholas Hoult and Lily Rose Depp were kind of our, main two characters. Both of them, I think, at the top of their game.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Lily Rose Depp, I mean, you kind of threw a word around there after the movie.
Oscar.
Yeah. I mean, in a year where you don't really know what's going to happen with I mean, between her and Mikey Madison, I'd say they're probably my top two right now.
Yeah, and I haven't seen Honora, so she's definitely number one right now.
But no, she was magnificent. And then even in the supporting roles, I mean, Aaron Taylor Johnson, he delivers an emotional performance as this guy that has just lost everything.
Yeah, see, you know what? The thing about that performance is, at first, I was not feeling it. I don't know what it is. I think it was because he was kind of just a rich douche. But, and I was like, I was kind of hoping he'd be like hunting Nosferatu, like more to it. And then the second half of it, when he starts to go crazy, I was like, oh yeah, that's what I wanted to see. Yeah. And phenomenal. Yeah. Towards the end, probably, one of the best.
Yeah. And then Emma Corrin, I mean, we saw her in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes, we did.
So seeing her in a more serious role was really good too. I thought she was
nice
great.
To see people who are able to do other things and be good.
But honestly, I mean, this movie, it was cool because it took some of the things from the original movie, and it's obviously based off the same book, so there's gonna be a lot of similarities. But there were some things that I was hoping they would keep from the original, and they did, like the scene where we get the nicked thumb when he's cutting the bread, and that's the first time Orlok kind of reacts to Nicholas Hoult, and the other one is the use of shadow.
I know. When they ran with that heavy,
and yes, we get a lot of ominous, shadowy shots when it comes to Count Orlok, but going up the stairs when it's his, that last night. I thought that was really well done. The hand over the entire city I thought was cool.
I love that. My favorite shot still, I want to see it again because there's a lot of phenomenal cinematography.
Yeah.
This easily has my favorite Eggers cinematography in all of his movies. By far. But I think it's probably whenever she goes up to the balcony or whatever and you see the shadow of him fluttering and making him more of a presence rather than, like, that's what I want to see.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. Not just a man who looks creepy, but just the presence overall.
Yeah.
Oh, it was good.
Yeah, I mean, you threw around the Oscar word for the acting. I think this movie is going to be nominated for a lot of things.
Yeah, I'd say probably. Yeah,
cinematography, though, I mean, you kind of touched on it. That's one that I'd throw my hat in for it. Not being necessarily the winner. I'd really have to dig down and think about this year because there's been a lot of good movies with great cinematography that I can remember talking about this year. But as far as recent goes, this is up there.
Yeah, as far as definitely the second half of the year, this is easily my favorite. Yeah, I would say. Just great. I would say score also. Definitely
the score. I kept looking over to you every time I'd hear a banger over the score because I'd be like, Corey's probably Shazamming it right now, and I'd look over and you'd have your phone.
Did you see me Shazamming it? I did Shazam a couple of them. Yeah.
Every time, it was funny because every song I thought went hard, I would look at you and you thought the same thing. I was like, we'll talk about that. But no, the score was fantastic. I mean, it fit the feel of the movie really well. The cool thing about this movie is it's not black and white, but it almost feels like it is black and white.
I know. One of the things that I wrote down to try to remember to bring up later, color grading.
Yeah.
Because it is very like, in a way, it kind of reminded me of like the Dune Part 2, like Gady Prime stuff where it's all in black and white and whatever. Yeah. But just because it's not actually in black and white, but just the way that like milky moon just...
It's like a pale blue.
A pale blue is exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes for some very interesting... I remember the beginning of the movie, whenever she's laying on the ground and she's having the dream and whatever, I remember being really struck by the moon in that scene. Yeah. A lot of good moon imagery.
Yeah. But no, I really like the color grading as well. Because it just made it feel, and that's, again, Robert Eggers does a really good job at capturing the time. Because all of his movies... have been set well before we were even thought of.
None of them.
This one was 1838, if I remember correctly. It was 1800s.
Couldn't say for sure.
But with the plague going on, and set design was also great.
Set design was phenomenal.
It felt like you were immersed into this town that's fearing the plague, and
I don't know about you, but did you feel very reminiscent with color grading, some of it, and also with set design? Poor Things. Do you pick up on a little bit of it? Kind of reminded me Poor Things. Obviously it's more like a Christmas Story or whatever, that kind of era or whatever. But something about it I think architecture reminded me very much.
I was going to say Poor Things definitely has more color to it.
I'd be interested to see what Eggers can do with a movie where there's some actual color. Not to discount this for like this is cooler than 95% of movies that have color.
Yeah.
I just want to see what that looks like.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But
what's the most color we got in his 4 movies is probably We're at the Gates of Hell in The Northman.
Oh, yeah, I guess so, yeah. Which is still just, like, oranges and red. Which you get some of that in this movie, too, with, like, fires and whatever.
Yeah, but, like, that's really it. Like, all 4 of his movies, I mean, The Lighthouse is black and white.
Yeah. And The Witch also is more like pale, everything black. Really good at accentuating things, considering there's not a lot of color in them. I mean, like, that's a very specific balance to get so you don't lose things. Yeah. And I think he kills it.
And a movie, too, like something, else to talk about with Nosferatu and just Robert Eggers movies in general. Mm-hmm. And a movie where there's, like, not a lot of action or, he's still, the tension is present the entire time. Yeah. You're on the edge of your seat. You're just waiting to be scared. And it almost creates a fear until you're actually in fear. And it's just, he's done it with all 4 of his movies. Not less so with The Northman, because that's more of like a Viking war epic than it is a horror film. But especially with the 3 that you'd consider just that gothic horror, he's really good at creating tension and capitalizing on it too.
Absolutely. That's the feeling. I remember watching the movie and feeling that same thing where I was like, there's a lot happening. But I couldn't specifically say what's happening because it's actually not a lot, but it is. Yeah. It is very confusing to think about and talk about. The threat of the plague was not fun to sit in a good way. Yeah. Just because I was like, woof, that's reminiscent. But that was also good. I mean, obviously the whole thing was phenomenal. I don't know about you. I don't remember. Does he have a familiar in the old one? Because I don't remember him having a familiar like he does in this one. I felt like that was an addition, having Thomas's boss be...
In the story, I know he does.
Okay.
But now that I'm thinking about it, in the original movie, I don't know if he does.
I don't think he does. Because I remember everything being done by him and whatever. I thought that was a pretty cool twist.
I mean, in most of the Dracula stories, he has a familiar. Yeah. But that was cool.
I liked this version of that a lot because I remember seeing those shots in the trailer. I remember where he's sitting like a buck naked and he's drawing stuff on the floor. I just assumed that was Willem Dafoe doing something weird and creepy, but I was completely wrong. Obviously.
I always thought it was the monster. I always thought it was
Nosferatu. Oh, okay, yeah.
I was like, that's all we saw of him, but. No, I liked what they did with the familiar. I thought it was cool.
I found that very interesting.
I mean, I liked all of the characters from, the introduction to Ralph Ineson's doctor, what is it, Shrevers or something like that?
I honestly
He plays a doctor, to Willem Dafoe and how he's brought in by him. And I mean, I was really into this entire movie.
Ralph Ineson might have been not my favorite part about the movie, but... Like, it definitely makes me want to see more stuff. I've really only ever seen him in Game of Thrones. Yeah. I mean, they picked the right guy for Galactus. Because, again, I saw him in Game of Thrones years ago. I haven't seen him in anything since, I don't think. Or at least to my recollection. That guy's voice cuts through you more than Orlok's does most of the time.
Yeah. When he was Father Brennan the first time, every time I was on screen, I'm like... I want this guy to read me bedtime stories.
Yeah, it's like Michael Wincott. I'm like, just don't stop talking.
Just keep talking. Yeah. I don't have anything else to talk about. Think of something.
It doesn't matter. Just say something.
I want to cast my movies and just be like, you do you.
Oh my God. Improv. One day I want to get a movie and just get all of the people that have voices like that, just that deep, like I could listen to
Get Ralph Ineson, get Michael Wincott, and then get Tom Hardy.
Morgan Freeman you could throw in there.
Well, no, Tom Hardy would just be that balance.
Oh yeah, the opposite. Oh, I see it. No.
Just throw him in there and
that'd be great.
Yeah,
I'd love that.
But no, Ralph Ineson was.
Yeah, everyone was great. I think makeup or not makeup, hairstyling. I think needs a shout out too. Yeah, especially Aaron Taylor Johnson. I'm like, that's a suave man.
Yeah,
like
the mustache, the curls were all on point for everybody.
Anytime I look up pictures that are that old, I'm like, why was anybody fucking anybody? You all look disgusting. Yeah, but I was like, I mean, obviously it's a movie, but I was like, that's a handsome guy. Yeah.
Costume too.
Yeah, absolutely. Costuming was great. I loved Count Orlok's first. Like I don't know, almost Russian-esque with the big hat and the oh man. I love the ambiguity of the dreams too, by the way. Yeah. I don't know why I'm a big fan of like weird, creepy dreams, and I love Dune, so I love weird visions and whatever. So all that stuff was great. I loved the fact that half the time when I was watching it, I couldn't tell if it was actually happening or not.
Yeah.
Like, remember that part with the horse and the carriage, and the next thing you know, Thomas is at Count Orlok's castle. I'm like, what the fuck? That was real?
Yeah.
What parts of that were real?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was fun. There was, like you said, a lot going on, but at the same time, not a lot going on, and it just made for a really good rendition of this story.
It would probably be a boring movie to, like, go beat by beat and explain to somebody. Like, the premise, you tell them the premise, it's fantastic. But going beat by beat, I feel like would be boring as hell. But it's not boring when you watch it.
Yeah. I liked the entirety of the movie, but I really want to shout out the third act, too. Because once we get him to her and the 3 nights deal and all, that's where things start to hit the fan.
Bad, especially for Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah,
I'm like,
no kidding. But that was just a wild ride in itself. And when you think about it, they took a good amount of time to make that happen, but it felt so quick because just night after night something was happening, and they're trying to get to the bottom of how to kill this guy. And obviously you get the twist of the whole time Willem Dafoe knows that he's going to her. And so I thought that was cool.
Basically telling her to sacrifice herself. And, and I also found it interesting that, like, it took a while for Willem Dafoe to even go in the movie. Yeah. For a second, I started second guessing myself. I was like, is he in this movie?
Did I just imagine him? Am I starting to imagine him in every trailer I watch?
No bullshit. I seriously was like, is he in this? Was I tripping? Is he in this?
Yeah.
And then when he showed up, I was like, of course he is. But took him a while to get in there, but it wasn't like, weird. It was perfectly paced and whatever.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, he does this kooky old man thing again, but it's always fun to see.
You love it.
Yeah.
You love Willem Dafoe, man.
I do love to see him. I think we already said it without saying it. Probably special shout out to lighting. That's how you can see a lot of these things with the color grading. Obviously, you have to have really good lighting. Lighting was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone's acting a phenomenal bit.
Yeah. And Robert Eggers once again.
Eggers is
the man.
Yeah. I find his films, this is the first one that I haven't had to rewatch to, like, love.
Yeah.
That when I first watched both The Northman and The Lighthouse, I was like, not what I expected. I don't know if I love this. Rewatches I loved.
Yeah.
This off the bat, I was like,
yeah.
I'm loving that. Spooky vampires are back, baby.
Spooky vampires are back. Good year for vampires.
Yeah, it was.
Between Abigail, I watched Fright Night for the first time this year, so we'll count it.
God, that is same. That is a phenomenal movie. I love that.
So we'll count it now.
Which is crazy because that's right up your alley.
I know.
That's wild.
Lost Boys is one of my favorite movies of all time. It took me till I was 25 to watch Fright Night for the first time.
That's crazy.
I know. We won't talk about it too much, but no, good years for vampires for sure.
Sure was. Yeah.
Now I don't have anything in the bad. We can hop over to the meh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have anything in the bad either.
Yeah.
I do have a couple things in the meh. For one, sometimes audio, dialogue can be a little dicey to hear what they're saying.
Okay.
On occasion, I found that to be a little distracting.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I don't... in a strange way, I'm like, the pacing feels kind of slow, but it also really doesn't.
Yeah.
I think it's just... because I didn't mind the length of it at all. It was just more so that I was like, God, I thought, like, we were, like, entering the third act. I was like, whoa. But I was never mad at it.
Yeah.
It was just kind of a weird feeling I had.
Like, part of me, when the dreams were happening, I'm like, man, this movie's really horny. But, like, at the same time, it made so much sense, I couldn't be mad at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, sometimes it was that, too.
It made sense on what was going on. Like, the river scene, I was like, if I'm watching this with no context and I walked into this movie and she's just being banged by the river... I'd probably be like, what the hell's going on? But having the context, I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
I do not... Banged by the river?
Remember when she's sitting by the river and she's sick and they walk away and then she starts screaming.
Right,
and she's like in the river and it's because...
Convulsing. That's right, yeah.
He was just dropped in the river.
Yeah, right.
So like...
Right, yeah.
That's what I mean.
forgot about that. See, I was disturbed by that because I was like, wow, those were socks back then. That's weird looking.
Yeah.
All right, weird trousers.
And now she's walking in the water with her socks on.
Yeah. I was like, oh, look at these trouser things. These are disgusting. They're probably knickers. That's probably what they were.
But, like what I mean? Like if you walked into this movie in the middle of one of those scenes, you're probably like, what the hell?
Probably.
But if you have the context Dexter, like, it all makes sense, though.
Yeah, see...
That's where I'm struggling to find anything I didn't like with the movie. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it's perfect. I don't think it's a perfect movie.
Yeah,
but, like,
I wouldn't say so either, but I mean...
It's a pretty damn good movie. It's hard for me to find anything I didn't like about it.
I feel like... Can I pull my phone out? I had another... I thought I had another thing written down, but I'm not sure.
How did you feel about the mustache? I need to know.
I think that was it.
Brendan wasn't a fan of the mustache, and I get why. I get why. Now, in the book, he has a mustache, which I did learn.
I do. Okay.
But I get why Brendan, because it is a bigger mustache.
Yeah. It's I was gonna say the presence of Orlok himself is almost as big as his mustache.
But I guess it didn't bother me too much. So I want to know what you thought on it.
It took me a minute to settle into.
Okay.
But by the end of it, I was like, oh yeah, I don't know why, but makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just something about the voice and the character himself being this old, European creepy. Held up in a cold castle by himself. I'm like, he would have a fucking mustache.
Keep him warm,
Yeah. I was like...
Keep the blood in there for later,
When it comes to the meh, I had two things that I remembered the things. They were more... Not so much like things that I felt meh about, things that I expected different or whatever. That's the thing with Eggers, though, which I like, and also, again, makes me feel weird and disillusioned by. But... It's that he always does stuff that I don't expect. Like, when I watched The Northman, the reason I didn't like it the first time, I was like, oh, I thought this was going to be a bunch of Viking action and creepy shit. It was like, not really that much.
Yeah.
Which I should have known, knowing Eggers, that's not what you're going to get. But anyway. So the look itself, I was expecting what we were all expecting.
Yeah.
To look a lot more closer to the older one. But again, once I settled into it, I was completely fine with it. I liked the look.
I thought it was really cool, too, when you get the blood-sucking scenes. Like, I thought it just... The mustache dripping...
Yeah.
Created, like, a very unsettling feeling.
Absolutely.
Unsettled feeling that I had. So I think it added to the creepiness of Count Orlok.
Yeah, I would say so for sure. I mean, even some of the ways that he talked just a little... whenever you're speaking with enough, like, spit in air, you can see kind of the mustache, like... It gives it kind of a... I mean, we all know. The strongest men in history all had big-ass mustaches. Right, yeah. So why wouldn't Dracula number uno, like, have one,
Exactly.
And then the other thing that kind of disappointed me, it's such a small thing. I wanted to see the recreation of... And we did, but they didn't do it the way I thought they were going to do. Whenever he gets raised from the coffin, where he kind of levitates up.
Yeah.
I was hoping we were going to see, like, a very creepy version of that. But it's whenever he goes to drive Thomas goes to drive the stake in him or whatever, and he catches it, he kind of just, like, it's like he's in a fucking kayak. He just kind of moves up and just stands up. And I was like, oh, I wanted to see the...
That's fair.
But also, that's not important.
That's fair.
But I still do wish especially with this Nosferatu dong out there.
That was wild.
I want to see that. Did you see that it was gifted to Nicholas Hoult, that prosthetic penis?
Was it?
And he framed it, and it's in his house.
There's
a picture of him holding it, like framed. It's awesome.
I would frame that too. That's like one of the best props out there right now.
That's crazy. Yeah, I respect the hell out of it, though.
A hoverboard or Nosferatu's dong?
Give me the dong. Give me the dong. Give me the dong.
No, that's cool. I get what you're saying, though, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
It was just like, I don't know, iconic
but I
imagery.
Agree. Like, it's nothing that's like going to kill the movie.
No, it didn't make a look of difference.
But final thoughts?
Final thoughts. It wasn't great. I didn't love it.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
It actually sucked. Scrapped everything.
It actually sucks ass. He should never hire Eggers again. No, I mean, I thought it was phenomenal. If you couldn't get that from the way we were talking, I'd be very surprised. And I'm not the most Eggers guy in the world. Again, on my rewatch of The Lighthouse, I love that movie now.
Yeah.
I think he's growing on me quite a bit. It's just usually not my style, but I think I'm at a point where, like, things visually hit me a lot more than they used to. Mm-hmm. And for that aesthetic alone, I'm happy to just sit there and shut the fuck up these days.
Yeah.
And, I don't need a heart pulsing action all the time. I think we had great performances. The production was actually top tier, peak, amazing. I hope to see at least the production side of it have a presence at the Oscars. Mm-hmm. Actors and actresses, I wouldn't mind seeing them there too.
Yeah.
And overall, I think this is worth your time if you've been kind of annoyed watching movies that feels like you're kind of seeing same things all the time. You want to throw a wrench in there watching Nosferatu. It's a good time.
Yeah, it's a remake, but it's still its own movie, which is the cool part about it.
It is. I love it. They took everything that was given in a movie that I have more respect than fondness for.
Yeah.
And they turned it into something that's like, I someday I'll show my teenage kids this movie for sure.
What do you give it out of 10?
I can't for sure give it the perfect 10, but I can at least give it the 9 out of 10.
Okay.
At the very least. Could it go up? Maybe. I want to watch it again.
Yeah.
Maybe even a 9.5. I'm going to give it a 9.5 if we're allowed to do that.
That's fine.
I'll do 9.5.
For me, I'm just going to go ahead and give it a 10 out of 10. This is up there for the best of the year for me. I think it's between...
I was going to ask, is this your movie of the year?
I think it's between this, The Bike Riders, and Heretic.
Really?
For my favorite movie of the year.
Okay.
This was my most anticipated movie of the year, so I had expectations going into it, and the fact that I wasn't let down goes to show how good this movie was.
Yeah.
Because when you have the expectations I had going into this movie, there's probably a really good chance you get let down.
Oh yeah. It's rare I put those kind of expectations on a movie for a reason.
But I mean, it's another reason why Robert Eggers is becoming one of my favorite directors. And when I see his name attached to something, I'm gonna give it a try. Hell, his brothers made a movie this year, and just because their last name was Eggers, I went and watched it. Hated it.
What was it?
It was called The Front Room.
I remember you telling me.
I did not enjoy a minute of that movie, but because an Eggers name was attached to it, I was like, I have to go see this.
That's a bummer.
So I'm gonna stick to Robert. But no, I mean, I'm excited to see what he does next. Obviously, you know, he mentioned Labyrinth is in the works, so give it to me. Excited to hear what else he's stirring in the pot, as you know, he's alluded to. And if he keeps doing this, man, he's just going to keep working his way up my director leaderboard.
Understandable. I mean, who knows? He might make his way back. I mean,
it's hard to put him super high right now because there's only 4 movies to go off of. God, they're 4 damn good movies.
I know. That's how I'm trying not to jump the gun too much. I'm like, the more I see of this guy, the more I rewatch, the more I'm appreciating. I know we don't really usually do this, but can I throw a prediction in there?
Yeah.
I'm betting my life that in the Labyrinth, Anya Taylor-Joy will be the main character in that.
I'd be here for that.
I would too, but I'm just saying.
Who's going to play Bowie?
Harry Styles. He was supposed to be Nosferatu. He's going to be Nicholas Holt's character.
Dustin said, "What about Bill Skarsgård?"
I mean, yeah. Oh, yeah. He'd pull that off pretty. What about Austin Butler?
Timothy Chalamet. I mean, we learned
Chalamet.
We learned that he can sing with Wonka and A Complete Unknown.
That's true. So, I wouldn't be shocked if I would not be shocked at any of these. No. Who else do I like from Doom? Josh Brolin.
They're gonna come with somebody. They're gonna come with somebody we've never heard of, and we're gonna be like, "Damn!" And they're gonna end up being awesome.
Oh my god! It's just gonna be unknowns and Willem Dafoe and the Labyrinth.
Yep, that's probably accurate. Willem Dafoe will have some presence in that movie.
Yeah, he'll voice somebody probably or something.
But man, just Nosferatu. Thank you for capping off, honestly, what has been a pretty solid year of movies. 2024 and 2023 have been a really good 1-2 punch, kind of coming back from COVID. I think the theaters and cinema needed badly.
For sure.
And Nosferatu, thank you for capping off that 2-year book
we've been in. I don't want to speak too early, but I mean, we're officially kind of out of the strike zone here.
Yeah.
With the writer strike and COVID and things. So I think we only have things to look forward to from here on out.
Yep.
What a good year.
What a great year. Kory, thank you for coming on. That'll do it for Nosferatu. Thank you all for watching. If you like what you're watching, check out some of these other videos. Hit the subscribe button or follow the social links down below. Anything is appreciated. And go check out Nosferatu if you haven't already, because it's a horror masterpiece in the making. So go check it out, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.